guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Leanne. Today's video, I have a recipe for you. Colorado pork green chili. We usually put it on top of burritos and make smothered burritos or wet burritos, some people call them. Or we just eat it in a bowl with a side of tortilla chips or warm tortillas, usually homemade, which I have a recipe coming, so keep an eye out for that. I don't have a written recipe for this chili, but I'm going to do my best to leave a written description for you, or a written recipe in the description. This is just something I've been making for a long time, and I just do it. But I will do my best. And also, if you watch the video, you'll see exactly how I make it. And I'll tell you what measurements, just kind of eyeballing. So be sure to check the description for the recipe. And also 2 more recipes for my homemade taco seasoning and homemade Chipotle powder spice. And for all of the tools that I use in this video, there's some that I kind of point out to you, and I will leave those in the description also. If you want more recipes, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. I've been trying to upload every Friday and 1 Sunday a month. Trying to get on a schedule. So let's make some chili. Okay, so here's our green chilies. They were frozen, and I've had them thaw on the countertop today. It's still cold. And I'm going to show you that we freeze our chilies with the skins on, and then they just slide right off after they've thawed. Well, okay, that one's not sliding as easy, but probably because we roasted these ourselves on the grill. But they come off much easier. Instead of trying to peel them before you freeze them, this is just a much better option. A lot quicker when you're trying to put them away too. There we go. Show you one more here. And that one's coming off pretty easy. Sorry about the wind. It's so windy here in Colorado, but I have the window open because it's a nice day. So I'm going to get all these peeled. I usually put that whole bag in. These are Pueblo chilies, by the way. We don't do Hatch. We're from Colorado, so we are all about the Pueblo chili. And I guess it's about maybe 10 chilies. And we do the medium heat chili because we do like heat. But not too hot. Man, some of them, if you get the hot, they are too hot for me and my family. Okay, so I'm going to get the rest of these chilies peeled. Okay, so 13 chilies, and you see the size of them. I mean, in New Mexico, Hatch, New Mexico, they're huge. I mean, they're like this long. They're huge. But like I said, the flavor to me is lacking. So and I keep the seeds in because I do like a little heat. On the hot ones, I don't know if I could leave the seeds in. It would probably be way too hot. But that's why I just get the medium, because it's just much easier to chop it all up instead of trying to scrape out the seeds and all that. We roast them and we put them straight in the bag. and then straight in the bags and straight in the freezer. So. What do you guys call them where you're from? Wet burrito or smothered burrito? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you call them and where you're from. Yep, I'd say about a cup of diced chili. Okay, so I already have my tomatoes diced. I leave a little bit aside for the top and then put the rest in, but I'll show you about how much. I got some onions that I had in the freezer. It's about a half a cup diced white onion, sweet white onion. That's what I like. You can use regular white. And just in case the heat is not enough, I might add a little chipotle, smoked jalapeno. By the way, I make my own. I'll leave a link down in the description bar so that you can make your own. And garlic, of course. Lard, yes, we must have lard. And half a cup of flour. And diced pork. This is about 1.5 pounds. Okay, so I'm starting with a couple tablespoons of the lard. And the lard is really just to have more fat for the flour to hold on to. We like a nice thick green chili, kind of like gravy. We want it to be like gravy and not watery soup. So I'm going to heat that up on a medium-low heat, and once that melts, I'm going to put the pork fat in, or the pork stew meat in. Okay, now that that's melted, I'm going to go ahead and add the pork stew meat. You can use butter too. I just like to use lard because I like the flavor. So. What in the world do you call this? I guess it's a handle. I don't know what the heck it's called. Hot pad? I don't know why I can't think. Oh, it's amazing though. Leather from Lodge. I bought it on their website. It's amazing. Still a little frozen, but okay, so I'll break this up some, and then I'm gonna let this brown. And I really want it to get brown. I want the brown, I think it's called frond, in the pan. And I always use a cast iron skillet. I'm just a cast iron kind of girl, but you can definitely use a stainless steel pan. Okay, so I got that broke up. I'm gonna go ahead and let that brown, and then I'll add the onions and some salt and pepper. And I think I'm gonna turn the heat up just a tad, actually, closer to medium. While the pork is going right here, I'm gonna go ahead and on the other side of the stove, cook my moose meat right here in this skillet. We had our 5-year-old help us package, and she wrote these. Actually, she was 4 at the time, so. And for the burger, I like to just add a little taco seasoning. I make my own homemade taco seasoning, and I'll leave the link to that recipe in the description bar below. I have these two handle pot holders. I guess that's what it's called, a handle pot holder. But these, it's nice and thick, but it is not as good as this leather one. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me over this sizzle. I do have my microphone connected, so hopefully you'll hear me. Anyway, this is coming along, but as you can see, there's no brown. It's still white, so I want to keep that going. As far as the moose burger, I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of my taco seasoning and probably about a 1/4 cup of water. Kind of like you do with the seasoning packets, so that it all comes together. And you get a little bit of a sauce. And just let that simmer. And you can use burger, of course. I'm using moose meat, but we're hunters and that's what we do. So you can of course use hamburger, or ground turkey, ground chicken, whatever you like in your burrito. And then I'll just let that finish cooking for a couple minutes, the beef, and we're getting there with the pork. So we'll come back when it's all browned up. Okay, now we're starting to get some browning. See that? So I'm going to go ahead and add my onions. Turn that back down just a little bit. I turned it up to move things along and it was a bit much. So I really don't have to let this go too long since those onions were frozen. They get soft. And then of course this is going to simmer. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add my flour. About 1/2 cup. And I want to cook that flour out a little bit until it kind of smells nutty. Because if I don't do that, it will taste like flour, or kind of pasty. So I just want to cook that out for a few minutes. And of course that's what thickens it. You can leave the flour out if you don't want it thick, but we like it thick so that it's like a gravy. Okay, so I've cooked that flour out, and as you can see it's kind of sticking on the bottom there, and I'm gonna deglaze that because that is flavor and we like flavor. So I'm putting in some chicken stock. Actually it's just water with a little bit of chicken, better than bouillon, chicken base. But you can just use chicken stock or even just plain water, but the chicken adds a little more flavor. So I just pour this in until all that stuff at the bottom. About 3/4 of the way up the pan. So I need a little more. That was 4 cups. Okay, there we go. So see what I mean by 3/4 of the way up the pan? I'm not sure how much water or stock. And then I just start to simmer this, and I'm gonna scrape all that yumminess up off the bottom. This is a larger skillet, by the way. This is not a regular size. I believe it's a 12-inch skillet. So you might keep that in mind when you're making this. And once I scrape all this up off the bottom, I'll add my chilies, garlic, salt and pepper. I'm gonna hold off on the chipotle until I can taste it because it might have enough heat. I don't want it too hot. I like hot, but not too hot. I want to taste it. I want the flavors. I don't want to just mouth on fire. Okay, I got that all up off the bottom. So I'm gonna add my chilies. Remember that was about a cup. Okay. And some garlic. I guess about whatever you like, really, but I do. I guess about a teaspoon and a half. Oh yeah, salt and pepper. I need salt and pepper. You might need to add more salt later too. Moose, no. Dogs barking. That's reality, folks. They bark at everything. Not really, they just bark at when they think people are coming. Okay, then I'm just gonna let this simmer. Okay, so you can see it's starting to get a little thick, but this will simmer for probably 20 minutes until it really gets thick. And I didn't put the tomatoes in yet. I put that in at the end because I don't like them to cook completely away. I almost just want them to heat through. Okay, so we'll let it keep simmering. Okay, so you can see that this has thickened up quite a bit, but it's not quite to where we like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the tomatoes in. And I'm just gonna do half of this bowl, maybe a little more than half, because I just want some for the top. I just kind of eyeball it and go by how it looks. I guess that was about half when I stir in the tomatoes. I kind of just want a little bit here and there, if that makes sense. See how you can just see a little bit of red kind of scattered? Maybe just a little more. And we'll let that finish simmering until it's to the thickness I want. It's almost there. And I tasted it, by the way. The salt was perfect. I didn't have to add any more salt. And the heat is good too. Those were some hot chilies. My hands were burning after cutting them, so gloves might be a good idea. All right, it looks like this is done. It's at the thickness that I want, so I'm gonna turn it off and just stir it and kind of make sure everything's scraped off the bottom. And I'm gonna let that cool, and we'll get our burritos together, and we'll get a last shot of that smothered burrito with Colorado Pueblo green chili. All right, now we're gonna put these together. So put some meat on. However much you want. Okay, then roll it up. Put the sides in. Just roll it up. Okay, then your chili. We like a lot of chili. Cheese. Lettuce. My hands are clean, so. And a little more tomato. There it is.